Welcome, collectors and diecast enthusiasts. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Diecast Emporium. In today's review, we're going to be taking a look at a Motorart 1/50 scale model. This is the Volvo L90H wheel loader. Now, the machine in the real world is a relatively small machine in the Volvo wheel loader lineup. As you can see, it comes in the standard Motorart Volvo box that Motorart has been using for well over 10 years now. It's of the clear window origin where you can see the model inside the box because, well, get this, it has a clear window. Volvo is on the left, L90H is on the bottom. If we take a look at one side, you have Volvo. On the back, you have a picture of the real machine working and this outline, which invites you to cut this part of the box out. Please don't do that. Keep your packaging intact at all times. It helps the long-term value of your model and your investment. And on this side, we can see yet another picture of the wheel loader L90H, diecast model 1/50 scale. This product is a scale model and a toy made in China and the warning label. Okay, let's begin the unboxing in typical fashion as we always do. Let's open up one side. There are no twist ties that you have to navigate your way through. The model is housed in two plastic formers. They will be taped the first time that you get your model, so you have to cut those with a razor or a knife. Take the top portion off. This model does have a couple of pieces that are really fragile, so be careful what you grab onto. Don't grab the mirrors or the beacon light on top. Just grab a hold of your loader. Take it out of the box. Once you've done that, your model is complete and ready for display because there is no assembly required. All right, as we always do, let's begin with taking a look at the detail and decals that are present on this 1/50th scale wheel loader. Now, to their credit, Motorart is usually very good with the decal application on this model, and as far as I can tell, that's no different on this one. You can see L60H, Volvo. You even have small warning labels on the side of the loader arms, which again is a little obstructed by the front tire, but it is there. There's also a small yellow graphic on the top portion of the 8-tooth bucket. Also, the stairs to access the cab have etched patterns on them, as does the catwalk or the walkway right outside the cab and the fenders on top of the wheel well. On the back, as we move towards the engine cover and the counterweights, you can see yet more lights, a tow hitch here, the Volvo logo. There's a large exhaust, beacon light on top, several lights facing towards the rear, and also a windshield wiper on the back of the cab. Moving the machine over on its right-hand side, we can see grab rails outside of the cab, more mirrors. The hubs are plastic, but they do have some decent hub detailing, and the wheels are rubber. I'm not sure how well these wheels actually represent the wheels that are on the real machine. To my eye, they actually look slightly smaller than that's present on the real machine. That could just be me, but note that's there. Another detail that is noticeably absent is the hydraulic lines that are absent across the articulation joint, as well as a drive shaft that is not present. Moving our way towards the business end of the machine, taking a look at the bucket of the wheel loader. I mentioned before, this is an aggressive bucket. It has 8 teeth on it, so you don't want to make this thing mad. It is die-cast and metal, so it is very heavy. More lights, another windshield on the top, windshield wiper on the top portion of the windshield, a Volvo logo, 2 more mirrors. And that brings us back to where we started. Let's get into functionality. The L90H shares a lot of characteristics with the L60 series of loaders, both in the real world as well as in the model world. And what I'm most concerned of is the main loader functionality in terms of the lift height, because the L60 in the 1/50th scale world really struggled with that. So let's have that in the back of our head. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the rolling test. This is a rubber-tired machine, so let's see how well the tires roll. As we can see in either direction, forward and reverse, no issue there. The machine steers by articulation, and this is where we run into our first problem. If we want to turn to the right, that's about as good as it's going to get for us. So we're not going to be turning right at a very aggressive angle. However, we can turn left at nearly twice that of an angle. So I wouldn't say necessarily I'm a numbers guy, so maybe if there's somebody out there that wants to say that's a 45-degree angle and that might be, I don't know, 22-degree angle or something, I have no idea. The point that needs to be demonstrated here is you can't really go right very aggressively, but you certainly can turn left aggressively, so maybe this loader is a NASCAR fan. He's not so much a fan of turning right. Moving forward to the main loader functionality, this is our real test. As we can see, let's go to the bottom end of things. You can achieve a respectable cut angle. That, for me, is fine. If I was going into a stock pile of dirt, I would be totally okay with that being an acceptable pose. As you can see, the cylinders are strong enough to hold the front axle off the ground. The rear axle has some oscillation, although perhaps not the best range. Now, if we wanted to have a curl back angle, again, to me, that is acceptable. Let's come up to here. And as we can see, without forcing anything, but with applying enough force to know that if I go up any further, I am going to break something, we can see that unfortunately, yes, this does suffer the same issues as the 60 series does, with it not accurately representing as high as the lift height could go on the real machine. So to demonstrate this even more clearly, let's bring in a 1/50th scale dump truck for the dump test. Here's our dump truck. Let's bring in our loader. And unfortunately, that driver in the cab of the dump truck who's been sleeping or on his iPhone playing Angry Birds has just been awoken rather abruptly with the bucket hitting the side of the dump truck and not going over the side. You can pose it resting on the side and dumping into the truck, but at this point your wheels are off the ground, and unfortunately it's a total disaster. It really is a shame, because Motorart has figured out their functionality on their other machines, such as pavers and excavators, but it seems as though some of their wheel loaders are still lacking severely in the functionality department. For the last test, let's see how it looks on a 1/50th scale lowboy. So let's bring in a 49X by Diecast Masters with a HDG XL120 lowboy, and I'm happy to report that if you wanted to put the loader on the lowboy for a transport pose, it makes a convincing transport pose. As you can see here, they make a nice pair. So, in conclusion, the Motorart Volvo L90H wheel loader is a nice looking machine overall. Unfortunately, where it lacks is in the functionality department and in the detail department. Of course, you can't really have this big of a gap across the articulation joint. To me, that is very unsightly. Now, you could get around that if you're a skilled collector and you want to add some lines there yourself, but what you really can't do is fix the functionality of the loader arms, which really is a shame. The only other thing that I didn't show you on this model before I sign off is the fact that, like most Motorart Volvo models of the last decade, it does have an opening engine, but unfortunately, as soon as you let go, it slams back down because it's not able to support its own weight with it being open. That'll do it for this review. I am Tommy with Diecast Emporium. As always, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it insightful. If you did, leave us a comment and leave us a like and share it with your friends. Until next time, take care, be well, be safe. I'll see you in the next review.